Jó reggelt kívánok, hogy vagy? Start of a, well, not start of just another day. Today is the start of, today is the, well, today actually is the first day of the rest of my life. It's the first day of the rest of your life as well. And what a, what a day it should be. You know, for those of you out there that have been following me, you'll know that just think of all the thought and all the anticipation that went into today, taking a trip across America and Canada in a beautiful brand new truck with a with just an absolutely uh, beautiful Hungarian lady. I mean, what more could a guy ask for, right? A beautiful new truck and a beautiful Hungarian lady. And I say that when I say beautiful, I mean in every sense of the word, inside and out. She is just as beautiful, if not more beautiful, on the inside than she is on the outside. But yeah, so today is the day. Today is the day we start out on our adventure. And we sat down last night at the computer just before bed, and I said, let's plan this trip together. And it's May 23rd today. She goes home August 15th. She goes home if she wants to. August 15th, I guess, is the saying. But she goes home August 15th, and here it is May 23rd. And last night we were looking at the calendar, and we won't get to Colorado until we won't get to Colorado until the 1st of June. And between Colorado and Utah, there's a better part of 10 days right there, or better part of a week, at the very least, but probably closer to 2 weeks between Utah and and Colorado. So that doesn't we don't hit the state we don't hit the state of California until the middle of June at the earliest. And California, I'd allocated the better part of 2 weeks, to stay in California, and that takes us into July. And I wanted to be in Canada. I wanted to be in Canada for July, or right around July 5th. And there's not a lot of wiggle room, to visit Lake Tahoe, to visit Crater Lake in Oregon, to visit Mount Rainier National Park, to go to Coeur d'Alene, to do the Road to the Sun. And like we were talking last night, I just want to saunter. I don't want to be hurrying here and hurrying there. And I got to thinking last night that maybe maybe it's just not practical or possible for me to show her the world in this trip. But maybe in a maybe in another trip. But anyway, the I can't help but to think, as I spend time. She promised me that she won't watch these videos anymore. So I'm a little bit inclined to share some thoughts that I might not share if she were watching these videos. And one of those is I can't help but to look at her and to think that she finds herself in such an interesting situation, because a lot of people come over to the United States, such as she does, on a tourist visa, like a 3-month visa or something like that, and then they have to go. But she finds herself, and I don't know if she fully realizes it, but she finds herself in a position where she could choose. She could choose to stay, or choose to go back. And every indication that I see as I go through the days and spend time with her is that she's going to go back. And, I got to tell you that Hungary is a beautiful place. In fact, Magyarország, as they call it, it runs through my blood. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. It's got wonderful culture and wonderful people and wonderful food, and it's got everything. But in many ways, it doesn't have the comfort. It doesn't have the comfort that for many, it doesn't have the comfort, and it doesn't have the chance for opportunity. It doesn't have the opportunity that America has. And given the choice, well, I was given the choice. I was given the choice. I was engaged to be married to a I was engaged to be married to a Hungarian named Nori, and I went over there and I stayed for 2 years while she finished school, with the understanding that we would move to America after those 2 years. And the 2 years came and went, and I stayed in Hungary as I promised that I would. And and then I was put in a position where I had to choose. She didn't want to come to America, so I was put in a position where I had to choose life in Hungary or life in America. And back then, I had just finished college, and I found myself thinking that if I'm gonna get married and have a family, I have to be in the best position to be able to provide for that family. And I just didn't see the opportunity. I didn't see the opportunity, and in Hungary that I saw in the United States. And so it's interesting. It's just interesting that here's a situation where somebody has the ability to choose between life in America and life in Hungary, and every indication is the choice will be Hungary. But time will tell. Time will tell as far as that goes. But anyway, what else is on my mind? Sometime back I was thinking, all right, sometimes back I shared a thought about the series of books that I bought called The Great Brain. The Great Brain, and how I was reading those books at such a formulative time in my life, and how I can look back on my life, and I can see how those books, The Great Brain, as silly as they are, they're children's books, but how I can look back on my life and see that the Great Brain series, how it had such a profound impact on the direction and the course that my life took. And there's two other books. There's two other books that have had a profound life or profound impact on my life. And one of the books is a book by Napoleon Hill. It's a book called it's by Napoleon Hill, and it's called it's called How to Win Friends, or Think and Grow Rich. There's two books. Think and Grow Rich is one, and the other one is How to Win Friends and Influence People. But Think and Grow Rich was the book that I was thinking about. And I got that book back in, actually, that wouldn't be a bad book to get on tape and listen, as we're driving down the road. Just stick it in and let her listen to it as we're driving along. I think I'm going to do that. But anyway, so the book Think and Grow Rich, there's a couple quotes from that book that that have just stuck with me all my life. And I heard these quotes when I was in my, I think I was in my 20s or something like that. But one of the quotes said, uh, anything, anything the human mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Anything the human mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And you think about that, and you've got the two words conceive and believe. Conceive. I've come up with some pretty ingenious ideas over the years. Really, really very good ideas. And many of those ideas have put me into the position where I'm at today. And were it not for me believing in those ideas, were it not for me, believing that I could achieve, anything the human mind can conceive and believe it can achieve. Um, People go through life and they don't believe, they just don't believe in those things. Um, they don't believe that they can achieve stuff, and they self-defeat. They self-defeat themselves. And that was one thing that I learned. And the other thing from that book was that there are no limitations to the human mind except those we acknowledge. There are no limitations to the human mind except those that we acknowledge. And the other day I was talking to my LTC, and we were talking about, she was putting videos online about yoga poses. She loves yoga, and to watch her do yoga, she's very, very good at it. Um, and she had put some videos online, and I was asking her why, what was the purpose of putting these videos online? And the long story short is she had talked about opening up a yoga business. And I had asked her about about why she didn't do it. And she said, well, Hungary's a very small country. Hungary's a very small country. And I and I looked at her and I said, yes, but the world is a very big place. And and the other thing that she had mentioned was that, well, all these other yoga teachers, I've seen these other yoga teachers, and they struggle, so to speak. And I told her, I said, yes, but you're not one of these other yoga teachers. You're you. You're not one of them. And but it's just interesting. I mean, it's just people go through life and they self-defeat themselves. And you see it time and time and time again. But anyway, so I'm not going to dwell on the topic too all that much. But got a busy morning. We're driving up to Skip Smith's house today in the Villages, and I'm gonna take her to Sumter Landing, and maybe we'll get out and dance. She is so much fun. I gotta tell you, there's not I don't whatever context our relationship is, friendship or what have you. She is so much fun to be with. She's a joy. Yesterday I was having somewhat of an anxious day. Perhaps it was just all the packing and getting ready and everything. But yesterday I was just having a tough day, and boy, all I had to do was walk into a room where she was sitting, and see her smile, and it just kind of took a lot of the took a lot of the anxiety away. But anyway, so it's on with the show, and we're just going to we're gonna have a nice trip. As long as it's got to be a safe trip. It's got to be a safe trip, and it's got to be a memorable trip, and hopefully it'll be both of those. But if I'm talking a little subdued, it's because somebody is upstairs. Somebody is upstairs sleeping. But anyway, so let's let's get on with the day, and we'll do our question of the day. Alexa, what's the question of the day?
Good morning. Here is today's question of the day. It's from our literature game pack and is worth 3 points.
Literature.
Which 20th century novel features Ruby as Hagrid, as a half-giant and gamekeeper? Choose from the following. A. Lord of the Rings. B. Game of Thrones. C. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Or D. Treasure Island.
What is A?
That's a good guess. The correct answer was C. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
I never got into all that fantasy stuff. You know, I really didn't. I never really got into the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit, the Game of Thrones. Just never really got into that fantasy stuff. I did get into Desperate Housewives. I was hooked on Desperate Housewives. Oh, goodness gracious, Desperate Housewives. But, all right. Let's, uh, let's redo our thought for our high hope for the day, which is seek beginnings. Each time something ends, another thing starts. So ignore the endings. Focus on the new paths that open and treasure your first time experiences. They can't be repeated, no matter how hard you try. And the quote is from Jane de la Fontaine. A person often meets his destiny on the road he took to avoid it. Isn't that something? A person often meets his destiny, or her destiny, if you want to be technical. Okay, a person often, or politically correct, I should say, a person often meets his or her destiny on the road he took to avoid it. So, anyway, you know, I could almost write a book of quotes of my dad's sayings. You know, it's not how much money you 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 make; it's how much money you save. And at my age, all women are beautiful. And you know, I could probably think of several other sayings that he used to pull out of his hat. But anyway, with that being said, I need to get on with my day. Get on with my bike ride. I try to fit in a bike ride before we head out of here. And I gotta tell you, you know, there's a certain high that you get from you know the physical exertion, and it's like, you know, you do something 21 days in a row, and it becomes a habit, much as doing these morning videos have become a habit for me. But you know, riding that bike. Tomorrow, actually, we're staying at. If you want to Google this, tomorrow, my LTC and I are staying at Pensacola Beach. I splurged for a nice campground that's got the water and the sewer hookup, you know, and it's got the electric, and it's got the cable TV, and the whole 9 yards as that goes. Rob could, you know, Rob, look up where the saying "the whole 9 yards" comes from. But Rob is kind of like my YouTube personal assistant. You know, I can just say, Rob, look up something, please. Please, of course, I say please. The whole 9 yards. What's the origin of that saying? But anyway, um, we're gonna stay at this beautiful campground. We got a waterfront spot, and just Google Pensacola Beach. And some of the beaches up along that Gulf of Mexico are just spectacular. And Vicky is in for a quite a treat for sure. Quite a treat. So anyway, have a great day, everyone.